Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and I got a book review for us today, one that I finished this month, Ken Follett's Fall of Giants. This is book one of the Century Trilogy. It's my first real historical fiction that I've gone through, and man, though it was about 1,000 pages, it's a big one. About halfway through, I was kept asking myself, why did I start this? This is such a long book, but the thing is that I read 100 pages and wouldn't even think about it. His writing was gripping, it was engaging, it was so fast-paced. And so I'm not going to be able to give you an entire breakdown of the book, but I did want to give you three major highlights that I took away from it. Maybe you've read Ken Follett, maybe you haven't. Maybe historical fiction is something that you've considered jumping into. Well, just some things that I think really helped this book stand out. And first would be the characters. Now, there are a lot of characters, and they're from the major countries during the era of World War I, which is when this book, this story takes place. There's an American named Gus Dewar, and he is a personal aide of President Woodrow Wilson. There's a British Earl Fitzherbert, and his sister, Lady Maud Fitzherbert, and they own a very wealthy house and an area, and he gets all his money from a local coal process and digging up the coal and mining and different elements like that. Well, there's some people that work in that coal town, Billy Williams and his sister Ethel Williams, and they get connected to Earl Fitzherbert and Lady Maud throughout the story. There's Germans in the story. There's Otto von Ulrich, who is an aide to the Kaiser Wilhelm II, and then his son, Walter von Ulrich, and his developing relationship with Lady Maud back in England, especially during the war when England and Germany are at war with one another. Their dynamic is fascinating. There are some Russian characters. There are two brothers, Gregory and Lev. And Gregory is one who his parents died when they were children. He's raised his brother and is sacrificed and continues to sacrifice. Lev is the charming brigadier who doesn't really care much about responsibility and finds himself in so much trouble. And what Follett does is he weaves these characters and the stories together. When you're reading it, you may be in England right before the war is going to get started, and somehow he'll bring a character from one of these other countries who will show up, meet a character, and they'll interact, they'll go away. Several chapters later, that character, gone through chapter after chapter after chapter, will wind back up, bumping back into them. And is it unrealistic? No, because how he sets up these intertwining characters and their storylines, it is just incredible. And these characters are deep. I'll get to some things, some takeaways from it more in a second. But the characters are special. The storyline is also important. He weaves these characters and many other fictional and real historical characters through the story of World War I, Europe, America, Asia. He shows how it really affected the world, and he did an incredible job. He shows the characters' strengths as well as their weaknesses, and each character has them. There's moments when you are frustrated at a character that you really like, because they do something that is just realistic. It's just human. And then there's other characters that you don't like, and yet they make a rational decision that you can't fault them for. Because that's what you would do even if you're a despicable person. The story shows the characters in their strongest moments and sometimes their weakest moments. And yes, Follett's writing, his prose is engaging, it's moving, it's fast-paced to where you are caught up in this story. You look up, it's been 45 minutes and you really have not thought that much about time. He does a great job of keeping you engaged through a 1,000-page book. It's incredible. Finally, there's some things that I wanted to highlight were the emotions from this story. You know what you do when you're reading this? You feel the pain and the hardship of normal people. You get to step back into history and show that, sure, you're working hard. You're working in a sweatshop in England, and there's characters that do this. To what? to earn enough money to buy a loaf of moldy bread on your way home from the slums where you're trying not to be, mugged. You feel for the normal person, and you also feel and experience how little the aristocracy thinks about wealth, thinks about possessions. And when the war hits and things are brought more into level playing field, it's interesting to see that dynamic from the characters. Those that were very, very poor experiencing more wealth. Those that were very rich now having to grapple with the fact that they are now social equals with the working class. You feel the fear of battle, and he has several battle scenes in this book, and you are sensing when mortars are hitting around you, when walls of men are running into streams of oncoming machine gun fire. You feel the fear. And finally, you rise and fall with the relational stresses and the reunions and the separations of these characters. Again, he does have them all connected around the world, and you feel for them when they're separated, when they're back together, when they're angry, when they're happy. You are along for the ride. There's some things you need to know before you get into this book. This is a very real book, okay? There is a lot of real life happening in here. This is an explicit book, okay? This is more that I learned about Ken Follett. He definitely has some material that is not for children, and this video is not going to be set up for good for kids. If that's something that you're not interested in, he makes it very clear when those scenes, when those pages are done. He does a good job of breaking up the book, and I think it's because he knows that people may choose to skip through some of that. It's very possible you don't miss any of the plot, but you need to know that going into it. There's language, there's scenes, there's war, there's battles, okay? There's something else you need to know. It's very engaging, and you are going to struggle to put this book down because it is so good. It really does draw you into the world. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. 5 stars to me are really reserved for books that are my absolute favorite, but 4 out of 5 stars. This is a great book. So Ken Follett, book 1 of the Century Trilogy. I'm excited to continue on with these characters, and towards the end, some of their children. But thanks so much for watching. I encourage you to check it out. Ken Follett, Fall of Giants. Book 1. Let me know what you think. Have you read it? Are you interested in historical fiction? And what do you think of Follett's writing? Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.